This is the award-winning Lee Pitts Live.
Brought to you by the North Law Firm. For car accidents and negligent security cases, call Joe at 239-337-1191. By Crime Stoppers of Southwest Florida. Report crimes and get paid with nobody knowing your identity. 1-800-700-TIPS. And by Lee Health. Good morning, Southwest Florida. Welcome to another edition of Lee Pitts Live. We're here at the North Law Firm. The accommodations have just been outstanding for all your legal services. Be sure to contact my good friend Joe North, especially for accidents and negligent security cases. He's the man, the myth, and the legend here in the state of Florida. That's the North Law Firm, and we're in their conference room. We have a fabulous lineup of guests today. We'll get a chance to talk to the lady who is really changing what we see in Southwest Florida in terms of black women. We'll talk to Karen Spears, the CEO and the executive and the founder of Black Girls Rock of Southwest Florida, and she's the CEO at Freely Give. We'll also get a chance to talk to Yvonne Hill. We're going to learn all about her mom and the great work she did for 79 consecutive years working at the polling booths. And it's just a fascinating story. And Kevin Boyd is here, my good friend from the American Legion Post 38. Talk about their upcoming celebration. All this is happening right here. He's the commander. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Lee Pitts Live. I'm always, when you see me, I'm all smiles because when I'm all smiles, I got a show that I'm so excited to talk about. And this show is historic in nature. We have here living in our community, a pillar in our community, Yvonne Hill, who has just done an outstanding job, Yvonne Hill, and working in the community. But in her background, she comes from great lineage in terms of her mom and the outstanding work that her mom did for 79 consecutive years. We'll learn all about that. I don't want to spoil it. So without further ado, let's welcome into the show. Welcome to the show, Yvonne.
Thank you, Lee. Glad to be here.
Always good to get you back and to get you on the show. Most people know you as Yvonne Hill, who's so involved in the community and the arts and all those types of things. They would be surprised to know, though, that your mom is as far as I'm concerned, a civil rights pioneer. Let's give her a name and talk about the early days when you first started to realize that she was doing a lot in terms of the voting polls.
Okay. Well, my mom, Laura Mitnaul Wooten, who holds the national record for having been the longest working voting poll worker in the country, 79 consecutive years, never missed a year.
Amazing.
And yes, really it is. And when I was growing up, I always knew my mom got up somewhere, you know, like in the middle of the night, went somewhere, came back at the end of the day, but I really didn't know what she was doing or where she went. I didn't realize the importance of what my mom was doing until 2008. Now, that's a long time from when I was a little girl.
Right.
But
maybe 16 years
yeah,
ago.
right. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
But I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about the upcoming election, you know, Barack Obama, We were debating about apathy and, you know, would the people come out and vote, would the young people, African Americans, et cetera. And I said, you know, my mom's been doing something with the polls for, I don't know, maybe about 40 years.
Right.
And this person was impressed with the 40. He said, really? Why has she done it for so long? I mean, why? And I'm like, I don't know, but I talk to her every night.
Right.
Because I haven't actually lived in Princeton a number of years, but I call my mom every night. So I said, well, I'll ask her when I talk to her. So we were on the phone, and I said to my mother, I was talking about you today with a friend. And I told him that you had been working the polls for 40 years, and he wanted to know, why have you done it for so long? And she was quiet. She said, well, where'd you get that number? I'm like, I don't know. I just pulled it out of the air. I just know ever since I remember you went to the polls.
Right.
She said, well, let me tell you. I've been going to the polls before you children were even born. And at the time, my older sister was 70.
And that's volunteering.
So I went, yes. Well, when they first started out, they'd give them a couple of dollars, $10 or something when she first started. Now I think she said it's up to, they'll give you $200 for the day.
Okay.
But that wasn't always the case.
Right.
Because you're working 15-hour days. But anyway, I said, oh my gosh, because at the time my sister was 70. I said, oh, you've been working the polls for over 70 years? Really? Well, being a history buff, as you know, I like to do all these historic preservations and research, et cetera, and exhibits. I knew that was historic.
Right.
I was really ready to say there's nobody in the country
Right.
that has worked 70 consecutive years, never missed a year. So I did a little research, and sure enough, I was correct. So then I set about really trying to get her recognition for what I knew was a record, a historic record. So since then, she's been recognized.
She got up to 79 consecutive years.
79 consecutive. This year would have been 80 if she had made it to the June primaries.
Passed
and
at
then
age
also
98
November.
this year.
She was 98. She passed away the end of March. And up until my mom passed away, well, 6 weeks before she passed away, she was still working. And I mean, when I say working, I mean a paycheck job, you know,
Right.
working. So she was really a phenomenal
So
woman.
when you work in the polls, that's just a temporary job for a short period of time to do the
yes.
election, and then your mom went back to her normal profession, which is what? What did she do?
Okay, well, when she was 72, she retired from Princeton Hospital in the Central Supply and also as a nurse's aide. And then she got this job at Princeton University in their food services division, which they have a huge, you know, dining clubs and cafeterias and things like that. And what she would do, she would sit at a desk, a circular desk, in the lobby of Butler Wilson Dining Facility, and she would check the students' meal cards.
I see.
She'd swipe them through the computer, make sure they still had meal plans left on their card. And she did that for 27 years with perfect attendance.
What I find fascinating about your mom is, one, probably the main thing is the fact that she was doing this all that time. You were dwelling in the household, your 5 siblings, it's a grand total of 5 kids, and she never really just kind of like pounded the pavement. You guys need to come work the polls. You guys need to get out of the vote. She just got up and went and did her job.
Got up and did this job, and I mean 15 hours. And as a tribute to her, when I found out how long she really had been doing this, I knew all my life she had been doing it, but I didn't know 70-some years. I said, oh my gosh, as a tribute to my mom, I need to sign up and work the polls. So which I
see.
did.
Really?
But I want everybody to know that I lasted probably about 3 years.
Hard
You know,
work.
getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, leaving the house by 4:30 so you could get to the site by 5, and then staying there for 15 hours until the polls closed after 8:30. And I'm like, oh, and I can't do this.
All the local elections, she's
yes.
just seen it all.
Yep.
Now, she has gotten a lot, thank God to you, she has gotten a lot of recognition and accommodations and awards along that way.
Right.
Let's talk about the 3 big ones that you feel that you're so proud that she's been recognized in different places.
Well, they're all extremely important and honor to her. But she's been recognized on the floor of the Senate and the House in New Jersey. She's been recognized by the National Newspaper Publishers Association, a League of Women Voters, the state NAACP, and also the Secretary of State. So she has proclamations, she has the awards, little crystal cut things. And let's see what else. Oh, and back in the spring, one of the Senate people, House of Representatives from New Jersey, recognized her on the floor of the House in Washington. And he actually read it into the record, congressional record, about what she's done all these years, and asked his colleagues to, stand up and salute and give her.
That must have been really special.
Yeah, and you can find that on C-SPAN.
Okay.
C-SPAN recorded is still out there on the internet, along with other interviews my mom has done. So if you look up Laura Wooten, you'll see all kinds of articles and interviews and things like that.
And what does that do for you and your family to know that after your mom did all this great yeoman's work, quietly doing her thing, what does that do for you guys to know that she's finally being recognized for that?
Well, I am extremely grateful that she lived to see a lot of this, because my mom didn't advertise this. She just did it. And one of the things that we're doing this coming Saturday, August 3rd, I'm having a tribute to my mom up in Princeton at the Paul Robeson Center, which happened to be the colored Y back in the day and the first place where my mom worked the polls. Of course, it's been totally changed now, but I'm having the tribute because we've had the funeral services, we had the viewing, we had the memorial service at Princeton University Chapel because we had so many people coming. And we had our repast and all that was really nice. But this is a tribute, so it's like a celebration of her life. I'm going to have a lot of pictures. I'm going to have some clips, video clips of some of the interviews that she's done. And I'm going to have some of her artifacts, such as her high school diploma. And the one thing I really like is that I have her certificate when she was a school patrol. And I used to tease her and say, this was the start of your civic duty. Look at this here, you know?
And have you had any contact with the African American History Museum in D.C. yet? Because that's an automatic induction.
That's what I'm working on.
Right,
That's
okay.
what I'm actually working on, because the things that she's done and the proclamations and the awards she received, like from the Secretary of State, you asked me which one do I think is important.
Right,
They're
I see.
all really important.
Excellent. But see,
I
you
want those things to go to a national museum.
But I know you're modest about all this, but I'm going to say this anyway. You still carry on your mom's legacy even before she passed, because you do a lot of volunteer work, even though you say, Lee, I need to make money. But you do a lot of volunteer work. You've always been involved in the community and helping out. And even though you didn't work the polls for 79 years, your mom still has got to be proud of what you have become as well.
Right, and that's true. And I didn't realize that. I didn't focus on that either.
Right.
I just do stuff, and I've been doing it, as you said, for almost 20 years over here in Dunbar. Even though I do live over there, I really spent my time over here where I say where my people are.
That's
where
right.
People really need, you know, some of the skills and things that I have. But I never focused on it until recently. Somebody said that to me. They were telling me, you give me some words of condolences about my mom passing. And they said, oh, now we know where you get your
That's right.
spirit and your drive.
That's
and I'm
right.
like, really?
Right, so when you
Never
pulled,
even knew that.
and when you pulled me over and we were talking on the street downtown, you saying, hey, Lee, da da da, I said, that's a story. You weren't telling me that as though it was a story. You were just talking to me. I said, we're going to do this. I know you didn't know I was going to call you back up and say, Yvonne, let's talk about your mom.
Right.
But that stayed in my head, and I went back and I talked about it at home. I said, that's just an amazing story.
Yeah.
And the counties, I think you named 2 counties, I don't want to mess them up, that she worked in Jersey.
One
Polls.
county, Mercer County.
Okay.
She worked 2 cities, Princeton, New Jersey, and Lawrenceville, New Jersey.
And so people in New Jersey will get to see this too on YouTube or wherever they watch it.
Oh,
So
good.
shout out there,
Good.
y'all. You
Good,
guys
good.
got a legend that did the thing. And when we have to keep into mind now, we're sitting here in sunny Florida, so sometimes she's going out in that cold weather in the Northeast and
Yes.
working those polls. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say something that when I went back and added up the years, I mean, all the years she's worked, I'm like, oh my gosh, she worked the polls. You know, the general election is usually in November. I'm like, so even when she was carrying me, she was at the polls. I was born November 10th, and the polls usually are the first week in November. I'm like,
Good stuff.
oh my gosh, she was at the polls.
Okay.
So I have a picture of the house that we grew up in the black community in Princeton, New Jersey. And it's 14 Witherspoon Lane. The house doesn't even exist anymore. I mean, it was an old house even when we lived there. But one of my cousins was giving her a tribute at her service at the Princeton University Chapel. And he said, you know, I've been knowing my cousin, you know, all my life. We're almost about the same age. He said, she walked off of 14 Witherspoon Lane, this quiet, unassuming, hardworking woman. She walked off of 14 Witherspoon Lane and into history. And I just love that. So that's like a tagline I'm using for the tribute. And I have her shoes. My granddaughter had bought her a pair of shoes that she loved to wear when she went to these engagements and asked to speak or whatever, because they were comfortable shoes. But they had the whole toe was like glitter. And she loved these shoes. And people always say, my goodness, where'd you get these shoes? And remember, my mom's 90 with these shoes, right? And they're flats. So we had those shoes, and I'm going to have them on like one of those pedestal things with a clear plastic case over it. And then the shoe print, I've had the stick-ons on the floor made like that shoe with the sparkles, and I'm going to have the footprints leading up to different exhibits and things about her in the Paul Robeson Center.
Outstanding. Well, I'm so glad you come here and shared this story. We have to get you back in here and do some more on this.
Yes.
Also, by the power invested in me as the owner of the television show, I'm giving the permission to the museum. Eventually, all your stuff, her stuff is going to go in the museum.
Yes.
I'm giving them permission right now that they can use this interview in the African American History Museum.
I certainly appreciate it. I just want to say one more thing. I've also set up a nonprofit, the Laura Mitnaul Wooten Institute for Civic Engagement, to continue to create awareness of the importance of voting, because that's what she said, and that's why she did it. She said, your vote is your voice. She didn't care what party you were. She said, you need to vote. Everybody needs to vote.
Let me bump you out. You get to keep your cup after that great story.
Thank you.
As the saying goes on this particular show, for those who say it can't be done, they're usually interrupted by those like Yvonne and her mom and all the fine people who are associated with this great historic achievement who are doing it. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. This is Lee Pitts, the host of the award-winning Lee Pitts Live here on Fox 4. We appreciate you watching our show here on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, clicking below. Let everybody else know that they can subscribe as well. Also, when we're on the air on Fox 4, you can also catch us streaming live at 8:30 a.m. in the morning on fox4now.com. Just click on live and you get us all types of ways at your convenience. That's Lee Pitts Live.